the 2025 NFL Draft. And I know what you're thinking. JP, that's a couple months away. And likely things are going to change between now and then. And this is a waste of everybody's time.
That is correct.
Why even do a mock draft? You want to know why? Because I fucking love doing them. All right? It gives me a big old chubby one. All right? I don't know what to tell you about that.
Super horny.
That's not funny. Don't rub those. Oh, come on. Stop with the licking.
And I imagine that if I like doing them and I like reading them, you want to watch it. Will it be a waste of time? Probably. Are we all going to enjoy it? Yes. And isn't that what truly matters on a day like today? But you see, here's the thing about it, bucko. This ain't gonna be no waste of time, because what I've done is I've researched all these here picks that I have made. And I got some information for y'all, and y'all gonna learn you something. All right?
I'm blanking here. I know this stuff. I studied forever.
Marcus is panicking. I could help him, but then everybody will know I'm smart again.
So without further ado, let's get right into it. We have 32 picks to go through. Now, normally with mock drafts, you go 1 to 32 because that's what's going to happen in the draft, right? You're going to draft 1, 2, 3. You guys know how to count. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going to go the opposite way. 1, because I'm dumb. And 2, because nobody really knows who the number 1 pick is going to be this year. So it's actually really cool to go in this order, because you're still going to be surprised no matter what happens at the end.
I see people. They don't know they're dead.
You're a ghost, la 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 la. You're a ghost, la 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 la.
And I will also be giving you guys a player comparison who I think these guys remind me of at the NFL level. Now, I need to be very explicit about that. I'm not saying that when I give you these NFL player comparisons that this player is going to become this level of player. What I'm saying is that when a team drafts them, they draft them with the understanding that, hey, if we can develop this guy and get him at what his potential can reach, he can become this type of a player. He can be this good. It doesn't mean that they will be this good. In fact, most of them won't even get close to the potential of the guys that I'm going to be comparing them to. But some of them will. And that's what projecting is. So in the first round, you're going to have some hits, you're going to have some misses. But I think that a lot of times your NFL fans, they don't necessarily watch a ton of college football. So it's hard for them to understand what kind of player their team would be getting. They don't really quite get it when you just say the name of this guy out of this university, what position he plays. They don't quite understand what type of player that is. They do a little bit of research later on once their team actually drafts somebody. But my goal here is to try to give you an NFL comparison that can better help your mind to understand what these teams are going to want out of these guys, what they project them to get out of them if they can get them to reach their potential, if that makes sense. So that is what we're going to be doing here. Let's get right into it.
Oh, would you look at this?
Yeah, well.
Would you look at that?
Yeah, there's
Off to number 32, the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them selecting Nick Scourton, edge rusher, 6'4", 280 pounds. Some of the notes I wrote down for him: his production fell once he transferred. He was inconsistent, but he does have a high ceiling. He needs to be coached up, and his weight probably needs to be cut. As it stands right now, I have a Michael Bennett comp for him, but I do think that he should probably drop a few pounds. I don't think that he should naturally be at that 280 range. I think he should probably be more around 265. We'll see what the Eagles do with him. I know the Eagles like these kind of edge rushers. I know the Eagles like these kinds of edge rushers, and I think that if there's anybody that can get him back to that production that he had prior to this last season, it would be the Eagles. They have some pass rushers that they need to replace, and I think that they do just that with Nick Scourton at number 32. My comp for Nick Scourton, Michael Bennett. Saw a lot of Michael Bennett in this dude's tape right here. Makes perfect sense for the Eagles to go get this guy.
Yeah. Smack it up, flip it, rub it down. Oh.
Number 31, we have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Josh Conerly Jr. 6'4", 315 pounds, offensive tackle. He's very athletic. He moves very well. He's explosive. He gets off the ball fast. He has excellent lateral agility. He has okay hands, not the best hands I've seen. He needs more weight in his base. He tends to get outpowered at times because he doesn't necessarily have the most weight in his base. And he's not necessarily a road grader in the run game. He is more of a pass protector with those light feet. But I think with Patrick Mahomes getting absolutely ambushed in the Super Bowl by the Eagles defensive line, you have got to find a way to protect the edges for Patrick. You have to get a pass protector out there. Patrick can do all the magic that he wants to do by running around, but clearly in the Super Bowl and clearly for the last season or so, they have had some major issues at tackle, and it has resulted in Patrick Mahomes essentially running for his life at all times. And they're going to have a hard time winning a Super Bowl like that, as they found out with the Eagles. So that, for me, is the pick for the Chiefs. The comp for me for Conerly with the Chiefs is he reminds me of Andrew Thomas for the Giants. Andrew Thomas. Number 30 for the Buffalo Bills, Benjamin Morrison. 6 foot, 198 pounds. He has a bunch of reps, sticky man coverage, long arms, active hands in press coverage, coached up. He's pro ready. He has smooth transitions. He's a willing run defender. Some of his things that he could work on is he does lack some strength. His stop and start is a bit lacking, and he can get grabby to make up for the lack of ability to stop and start at all times. So that may result in some penalties. But overall, this seems like the style of player that the Bills like in their secondary. The Bills have gone after secondary players in the first round a number of times. So I could see them doing it again. At the end of the first round, you get a good value on a guy here who has some tremendous upside in Benjamin Morrison. And for me, NFL player comp, Darius Slay. There you go. Off to number 29, Washington Commanders. They select Jalen Walker, 6'2", 245 pound linebacker / edge rusher. He can pass rush, he can cover, he can blitz from the inside. He's very dense. He's a ridiculous athlete. He has enough size for the edge and enough coverage ability to be a linebacker, although he's not necessarily prototypically either one. He has longer arms. He's a great blitzer. He needs to get better in coverage. He's not necessarily nimble in coverage, so that hurts him a bit, and he does need to develop more pass rush moves, as he is very limited, and he tends to just try to drive through everybody that he runs into. And he does need to have some better anticipation. But when you're drafting a guy like this, it's simply off the fact that his athleticism is just completely off the charts. He played for championship level program. He's been coached up to the nth degree, and you're just hoping that over time he can develop into an either ridiculous pass rusher or a fantastic coverage linebacker. Most people see him more as a pass rushing type, but I think that you can take advantage of the fact that he can do both and sort of use him as a chess piece on your defense. And I think that that is exactly what the Commanders need moving forward. Get Jayden Daniels a nasty defense. Let that guy cook on offense. Let your defense do their thing. So I think invest more into your defense. And I think they do that right here with a guy who can play multiple positions on the defensive side of the field with Jalen Walker.
What do you think?
Nice. Jesus. That is really super. How did a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
NFL comp to me is he reminds me a lot of Hassan Reddick, with Hassan Reddick's ability to cover and to rush the passer. I thought they had very similar measurables as well as skill set. So Hassan Reddick is your comparison. Off to number 28, Jack Sawyer, 6'4", 265 pounds, defensive end. For me, one of the most safe picks in the draft. Just know what you're going to get. He's got great leverage. He sets a fantastic hard edge, very hard to get around. He does have a little bit shorter arms, which is why his draft stock was a bit hurt. He's not necessarily super fast either, which hurt his draft stock, but he is a great tackler. He runs, defends at a high level like we talked about, and he uses his high IQ to make up for some of the shortcomings he has with shorter arms and things like that. He's anticipates very well. He reads the play very well. He's a studier of the game, student of the game. You're going to get a solid pass rusher, probably going to be your number 2 pass rusher, number 3 pass rusher on an NFL team, but he's going to be good at it. You're not having just a pile of bones walk out on there on the field to fill a spot. This guy is going to be playing with intent at all times. He embodies that Lions mentality.
All right, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. All right, and on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
I know it's an easy comp, and I know that there have been a lot of people that have been saying that he's going to go to the line, so I'm not the first to say that, but I just think that the fit is too good. They need to back up Aiden Hutchinson in that pass rush. Clearly that pass rush got so hurt at the end of last season. They have some guys that are getting a bit older. They have some guys that are going to be, contracts are going to be coming up at a certain point. So you need to have some young talent coming in there and being able to replenish that. And for me, Jack Sawyer is a fantastic value here at number 28. Player comp for me, Brian Robeson, Vikings defensive end. If anybody remembers Mr. Brian Robeson, very good player for the Vikings for many years. Number 27, Baltimore Ravens, Jahdae Barron. 5'11", 200-pound cornerback. Notes I put down on this guy: versatility in the defensive backfield for days. Matchup type player who can excel with quicker weapons. Elite ball skills. Second in the class, just behind Travis Hunter on the defensive side of the football for those ball skills. Very quick feet. Closes very well, but he is not overly fast himself. He does lack a bit of speed. He makes up for that football speed with anticipation and high football IQ, and he does have great zone instincts. I think because of the weapon that you can use him as, because of the fact that you can put him at either safety position and he can do a good job there. You can put him at nickel cornerback. He's feisty. I think all those things fit right into that Ravens defense, and I think that Ravens offense has plenty of firepower to get to the next level. What they need to do right now is focus on their defense for me, and that starts with a guy that you can plug and play in multiple positions and move around and use him like a chess piece.
Bishop to bishop 8. Discover check. And incidentally, mate.
The comp that I had for him is Tyrann Mathieu. So I thought his skill set is very similar to Tyrann Mathieu. Off to number 26, the LA Rams select Josh Simmons. 6'5", 310 pounds, offensive tackle. Some notes I put down on him. He plays with a nastiness. He needs to improve his run blocking, but his pass pro is exceptional. He has ideal size. He has quick feet, and there are some injury concerns there. So for me, Josh Simmons has huge upside, very, very much a prototypical body size for that left tackle position, especially with his quick feet. That is something that translates very well to that left tackle position. I do think that he has some injury concerns already, which is not great for a guy who is coming into the draft as a big man.
What do you mean by that? Would you say that to a fighter on the morning of a bout? Maybe you'll get knocked out. See you after the fight. If you're not in a coma, don't jinx us, baby. Not today.
But if he can avoid those injuries in his NFL career and stay on the field, you are looking at a guy who has a lot of talent. With Matthew Stafford getting older, I know there's some talk about him possibly being on the move and they might trade him. The Rams ain't fucking trading Matthew Stafford. That shit is not happening. I can assure you of that. Not with him still being able to sling that pill as well as he can. And they're about the only team that gave the Eagles anything at all in the playoffs. So you know that team is young and ready to come back and do their thing around the veteran leadership of Matthew Stafford. And I think it starts by getting him some protection. The NFL player comp to me, Christian Darrisaw. Pick number 25, Houston Texans select Kelvin Banks Jr., 6'4", 320 pounds. He's an offensive tackle / offensive guard. He's got offensive line flexibility, really quick feet. He's a good athlete. The flexibility for a man his size is well above average. He does need to refine his technique with his hands, but he does play with tremendous nastiness, and he can get reckless because of that nastiness, because he likes to take big shots on those blocks and really put defenders on their ass at times. He can be prone to miss some of those blocks by going for those kill shots. Something you'd love to see in offensive line is nastiness, but it has to be within control. One thing for me is I think the Houston Texans did a fantastic job of putting together a great defense these past few years, and there are some things that they could still clean up on that side of the football, but really what ended up hurting the Texans was the lack of weaponry around CJ Stroud, and more than that, his interior offensive line getting absolutely fucking destroyed.
You suck, you jackass.
Why don't you shut the hell up?
And I think that when you get a guy like this, he's an immediate guard at either spot, and he's going to play at a high level right from the beginning. So I think that it's an easy pick for the Texans because you immediately plug him in inside that offensive, the interior offensive line, and your interior offensive line immediately gets an upgrade, which it badly needs right now. NFL comp for me is Elijah Vera Tucker. When I watched this guy play, he reminded me a lot of Elijah Vera Tucker. So there you go. Number 24, Minnesota Vikings select Malachi Starks, 6'1", 205 pounds, safety. He is a strong run defender. He gets downhill very fast. He's a great tackler. Once again, he has quick feet. He's a very good athlete with good ball skills. He is excellent in zone coverage, and that indicates a very high football IQ. He's not ideal for man coverage, so you kind of want to avoid putting him in as many of those situations as possible. He does have some light technical deficiencies when it comes to man, which is to be expected for a safety. But obviously, I'm nitpicking a little bit here because he's a fantastic prospect, and you have to nitpick on some of the things here. And I thought man coverage left a little bit to be desired. He does excel near the line of scrimmage, so you want to, kind of shut down a run game. You need a safety to come down into the box to help you do that. This is a guy that is very well made for that. So for me, a player comp is actually a teammate of his in this hypothetical draft, Harrison Smith. I thought that they reminded me a lot of each other. They do a lot of the same things well. So Harrison Smith is the player comp for me. And if he ends up going to the Vikings, that's the perfect guy to teach him the ropes in the NFL, if you ask me.
Whoa.
What the?
I'm Spider-Man. I need you to come with me.
Who the heck are you?
I just told you that. Listen. I'm from the future.
How dare you point at me?
You were pointing first.
Rude to point.
You're being very rude. You're not even believing what I'm saying.
Which one pointed first?
Spider-Man pointed first, obviously.
You're pointing at me right now as you say that. Look at you.
I'm
Look
just
at your
pointing
finger.
at your
Look at your
which
finger
is
right
different
now.
than normal pointing.
You are pointing.
You haven't seen
You're
pointing
accusing
until I
me
get
of
through with you,
pointing.
and then
Number 23, the Green Bay Packers select Shamar Stewart, 6'6", 290 pounds. He's an edge defensive 4-3 lineman. You know, could also be a 3-4 interior defensive lineman. Massive individual. He's got ideal size for the position. He has explosiveness for that size, which he can apply to power because of his speed to power is so good. He has violent hands. He's a run stuffer. He is a bit inconsistent. And even though his hands are very violent, they do need some technical work. He needs more moves. He kind of relies on his raw athleticism a bit too much, so he needs some more moves at the next level because that is not going to work all the time at the next level. He is a rare athlete who's big enough to play inside and fast enough to play outside. He has great closing speed. The biggest thing for me with Stewart is he just needs to work on his hand technique. At the NFL level, if you don't have good hands, these offensive linemen are going to eat you alive because most of them do. Now, if you're a guy like him and you can kind of figure that out, then you have a huge upside because his athletic traits are ridiculous.
You've got to have size, reach, length. You've got to have some attributes.
So much so that my NFL player comp for him was Mario Williams. So there you go. Number 22, the San Diego Chargers. Yes, you heard me correctly, San Diego Chargers, because I won't say they're the LA Chargers. I won't do it.
Well, I'm not going to, ever. Even if there's a fire.
The San Diego Chargers select Kenneth Grant, 6'3", 340 pounds, defensive interior lineman, which I'm sure a lot of Chargers fans are going to be pissed off that I'm not giving Justin Herbert a weapon here. But there are some things that factor into that, like the fact that you have to have the talent at that position to make it worth making the pick. And I just didn't think at this point the Chargers were going to reach on a player just simply to get Justin Herbert another weapon. I think that they're going to wait until the second round to do that. The Chargers have struggled finding good interior defensive linemen for many years now. They got some good players last year with Poona Ford and Tart, but those guys are both free agents, and there is no guarantee they're going to be back. There's also no guarantee on how long those guys are going to be good players, and there is a ceiling on how good those guys are going to be. As good players as they are, they're not elite players. And so sometimes you want to take a swing and see if you can find one of those elite 3 techniques in the draft. And a lot of people think that this guy is one of those guys that has that potential. Some of the notes I had on him, he can play with a bit of lack of aggression. He doesn't get upfield as much as you want, but he has the physique and the quick feet to absolutely dominate offensive lines, even at the NFL level. So if he can put it all the way together, you're talking about a guy who has a ridiculous physique to play the position. And so he can dominate interior offensive linemen because of that. He has rare pass rush ability for a man that is his size at that 340 pounds. He's a fantastic run defender, but he needs to get better with his leverage. He can play a bit up high at times, and he does have a finesse game, which is pretty rare for a man his size to be able to play with a finesse game. But at times he over relies on that finesse game and forgets about the fact that he is 340 fucking pounds and can just absolutely throw people out of the way sometimes. So
Here we'll teach you the football, won't we, caretaker?
Yeah, I'll teach you anything. Just don't eat me.
you want to see him do that a bit more, but you love the upside with this guy. NFL comp to me, DJ Reader. DJ Reader. That is the comp I saw when I was watching his tape. Pick number 21, Pittsburgh Steelers select wide receiver Matthew Golden. 6 foot, 195 pounds. He makes hard catches look easy. He's excellent at using tempo to get open, so he's a very crisp route runner. He gets up the field quickly. He's basically a slot specialist, so he's going to do a majority of his work out of the slot, but he's very good in the slot. He's quick. He moves the chains. He's what we like to call a chain mover. He gets open for his quarterbacks on crucial downs. Very reliable, very sure hands. He's a big game player, and he is refined technically. There are some limitations with his high-end speed, strength, due to the fact that he's a smaller player. So those are the reasons why he's not going to go higher, I think.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
But an NFL comp to me, and who he reminded me a lot of watching his tape, was Jarvis Landry. That's who I thought Matthew Golden looked a lot like. So Jarvis Landry. Off to pick number 20 for the Denver Broncos, and I think Denver Broncos fans are going to be very happy with the pick that I gave them in this mock draft. I have Emeka Egbuka, 6'1", 205 pounds, wide receiver. He is physical. He has strong hands, great intermediate route runner. Doesn't have blazing speed, but it's good enough for the NFL level. He's a yak monster, and he is bigger than you think, and he is absolutely a willing blocker. So he's a team guy, willing to do what it takes to win. Tries to put corners on their ass, locks them up in the run game. He can get open for you. He's a very versatile guy that you can use to do a lot of different things, and he's got a little bit of that running back type body due to his thickness.
He had no problem whatsoever hitting on the undercover officer on the audio tape, trying to pick her up and saying, "Girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal."
And I think that Sean Payton loves guys like that. I think Sean Payton really likes guys that can do multiple things on the offensive side of the football and use them in different areas. He has said as much that he likes Joker type players. So for me, that is who I like, is Egbuka. And an NFL comp for Egbuka to me is Puka Nacua. Egbuka, Puka Nacua, Egbuka. That's my comp. Number 19, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting James Pierce. 6'5", 243 pounds. He's an edge rusher. He doesn't have necessarily ideal size for an edge rusher, but he does have ideal production. He's naturally athletic as all get out. He has natural pass rushing abilities. He can drop into coverage, but his best skill set is for sure getting after the passer. He is incredibly fast and he is incredibly explosive.
'Cause I'm TNT, I'm dynamite, TNT, and I'll win the fight.
This is why James Pierce is held in such high regard, even though he only has that 243-pound frame for an edge rusher. It is because all of those other things that comes along with James Pierce, and namely that production. That production was real. And the NFL comp that I have for James Pierce, how about the guy who just wrecked the Super Bowl, Josh Sweat. Saw a lot of Josh Sweat as I was watching James Pierce in the film. There you go. Number 18, the Seattle Seahawks. I have them selecting Tyler Booker, guard, 6'5", 352 pounds. He's got a rare, clear round one guard grade on him. I don't think that there's anybody out there who thinks this guy's getting out of the first round, and you don't really see that with guards very often, to just go, oh, that guy is immediately in the first round and he's for sure a guard at the next level. No, this guy's for sure a guard and he's for sure a first round talent. So you know when that's the case, you're getting a guy who is a very, very good NFL guard. He's pro ready. He's a massive human being at 6'5" and 352 pounds. His lower half is just different than other players. He's built like a brick shit house down there. You are not moving him off of his spot. When you talk about these dominant three techniques that just absolutely take over games in the NFL, this is one of those guys who can stop that.
You're a big one. You'll be hard to digest.
I'd hate to be such a nuisance.
He's a three technique monster stopper. That's what this guy is there for, is to stop that guy.
But that's upsetting.
Power moves just don't work at all against him because of that brick shithouse base. He has a very high IQ. He passes off rushers extremely well. He mauls defenders in the run game, overwhelming them with his strength. There are some twitchy interior defensive linemen that can beat him, but that is to be expected when you're 352 fucking pounds. Of course, you're going to have twitchy guys beat him. This guy has all pro guard written all over him. We will see if that translates, but I think it might. He's a very good player, and he comes very well respected out of Alabama from a lot of the coaches that talk about him. And my NFL comp for him is guard for the Colts, Quentin Nelson. He reminds me of Quentin Nelson quite a bit. Number 17, Cincinnati Bengals, Luther Burden III, 5'11", 205 pounds, very fast. He has yak ability, physical. He's hard to tackle, soft hands. He has high IQ. He can find holes in the zone because of that. He beat man consistently. He does need a little bit more technical work on his intermediate route running, but the ceiling is extremely high for Luther Burden III, as he is very, very fast with his track background.
He's good. He's fast. He's really, really fast. I mean, he's so fast. He makes fast people look not fast.
I got it. He's fast. Why don't you show us your speed and get your pyro ass out of here?
Yes, sir. No. Oh, I'm sorry.
And the NFL comp for me, who I saw when I was watching Luther Burden III, I saw a lot of Terry McLaurin in that game as I was watching him, which is a huge compliment. So NFL comp, Terry McLaurin. Pick number 16, Arizona Cardinals select Mikael Williams, 6'5", 265 pounds. He has ideal size, high ceiling, high floor, not necessarily ideal production, but he was asked to do a lot of other things, so that probably explains why that was the case. Has the physical tools to be an elite defensive end.
And then a wheel laugh. High five.
And the NFL comp for me for him was Carlos Dunlap. When I was watching this guy play, when I was watching his body type, he reminded me a lot of Carlos Dunlap. With the 15th pick in the NFL draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Mike Green, 6'4", 248 pounds, lighter weight than ideal, makes up for it with his strength. Really, really strong player pound for pound. He's an excellent athlete, high-end agility, high-end speed, bunch of pass rush moves. Already is an elite pass rusher at the next level, just given the skill set that he has.
Are you serious? I'm dead serious.
And his balance is insane. He has crazy balance for a pass rusher. For me, I think that he is a surefire top 19 pick in the draft. This guy, Mike Green, has been impressing at the Senior Bowl. Falcons need some pass rush help. They're going to need some guys to get in there and get after the quarterback. That has been lacking for them for a few years now, and they do have some of those players getting a bit older on that defense, so they need to start replenishing that. And for me, the NFL comp is Shaq Barrett. Number 14, the Indianapolis Colts select Loveland. 6'5", 245-pound tight end. He has elite hands. He's a really great player to have for like backyard football, get open kind of thing. He's very good at finding the holes in that sort of a deal. He's a natural athlete, decent blocker, but he's not outstanding. And he has a very big catch radius as well as elite change of direction for a man his size. I think it's a perfect pick for the Colts. I think that they need help in the middle of the football field. And I think that they need to get Anthony Richardson, a guy who can get open once he starts extending the play. I think that's a perfect kind of player for that.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X.
And because of that trait that I think that Loveland has as somebody who would be really good in a scramble drill, he reminds me a lot of Travis Kelce. So I get a lot of Travis Kelce vibes. I know I'm not the first one to make that comparison, but I didn't see anybody else make it until I made it. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. So we will see if that can translate at the next level. And with the 13th pick in the draft, the Miami Dolphins select Armin Membuth. 6'3", 315 pounds, very strong base, not necessarily the ideal height, but he is a technician. He doesn't always finish his blocks, but that is coachable, and he's about as athletic as they come for an offensive tackle, which is perfect for that Mike McDaniels run scheme and how they like to do their thing out there in Miami.
And he's connected with his team as well. Miami 17-3. They get the ball to start the second half. The Toyota halftime. Go get him, Mike. Hustle in there. We're hustling to Maria. We won't pull a hamstring, I promise.
For me, you have to protect Tua. Everybody understands that. This guy Membu has a chance to do that, and I think that he will make a very, very good NFL tackle at the next level. The NFL comp for me, the guy who I thought he reminded me a lot of watching his tape, was Rashawn Slater. So Rashawn Slater was the NFL comp for Membu for me. And with the number 12 pick in the draft, the Dallas Cowboys select, I am even going to try to say this man's first name, but McMillan, wide receiver, 6'5", 212 pounds. He is an athlete's athlete, basketball player type body, high contested catch rate. He's very agile for a man his size. He has special hands. His jump ball ability is out of this world. It's a very easy transition for him to the NFL, given his skill set. He's massive. He's going to be able to block because of that. He's going to be stronger than almost any corner that's lining up against him. And I just think that the guy is the best wide receiver in the class. And I think that if you're the Cowboys, you need to put somebody opposite of CeeDee Lamb to take some pressure off of him, and you need to give Dak Prescott some weapons, right? Get this guy a cheap weapon, okay? These weapons nowadays, when you go pay for them in NFL free agency, they cost you all kinds of money. It's a lot of money with that cap.
And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
For me, when I looked at his tape, he reminded me a ton of T. Higgins. A lot of people think Mike Evans. I can see that as well. I saw a lot of T. Higgins just with his ability to run after catch. So T. Higgins is my NFL comp, and McMillan is the pick for the Cowboys for me. Number 11, San Francisco 49ers. They select Walter Nolan, 6'3", 300-pound defensive interior lineman, high-level run defender, high-level pass rusher, not a huge defensive tackle, but an explosive athlete and very strong pound for pound. He gets off the ball about as well as anyone for an interior defensive lineman. He's a great athlete at his size, agile for a big man, elite recovery ability, can contort his body to find his way through blocking, but he does need a bit of refinement technically with his hands. But outside of that, this man is an absolute athlete and an absolute force from that defensive interior position. I think that the 49ers had their most success when their defensive lineman was at its most dominant. I think that Nick Bosa and your edge rushers are going to struggle with production as long as there is no interior rush to force those guys into their lap. And I also think that that run defense is going to be lacking until you can get that defensive line shored up. So for me, this is a perfect pick for the 49ers. This is somebody who had, I believe he was the #1 recruit coming out of high school at one point. So he has tremendous upside. Obviously, that means his athletic profile is ridiculous. And when I watched him play, he reminded me a lot of Gerald McCoy. So there you go. That's my number 11 pick for the 49ers. Number 10, I have the comp that everybody has for the Chicago Bears, Will Campbell, 6'6", 320 pounds. I have him as a guard. I do not think that he's an offensive tackle at the next level, and I also don't care all that much. He has elite intelligence. He's a studier of the game, technically sound. He's arms are shorter than ideal, which is why he's probably going to be a guard at the NFL level. I don't think that with arms that short you're going to be able to perform very well against some of these freaky defensive ends in the NFL with their longer arms. So that's why I would kick him into guard. I mean, this guy is so smart that he could probably play center. Now, I don't necessarily know that you should play him at center because he is 6'6". It's a pretty big man to be down there hiking the football every play. I don't know if that he's got the hip flexibility for that, but He's very strong in the run game. His base is extremely strong. He has really quick feet that make up for a lot of that shorter arm stuff that we were talking about. And I just think that he makes everybody on your interior, I think he makes everybody on your offensive line better. I really do.
Hate your hair. Not likely. Yikes, yikes, yikes. And let me guess, you have a great personality.
He immediately upgrades your left tackle, and he immediately upgrades the center playing next to him because he's so smart with calling out protections. He's so good at seeing that stuff. He's such a studier of the football game. And I think that's exactly what the Bears need. I think more so than just, talent on the offensive line and like actual raw ability, they need a smarter offensive line. They need guys that can communicate a lot better. And I think that starts with none other than Will Campbell. For me, when I looked at a comp for Will Campbell, it came down to Zach Martin. I saw a lot of Zach Martin in Will Campbell's game. I had a lot of similar traits that they have. And I think just like Zach Martin going from tackle to guard in the NFL and doing that at a very, very high level, I think that Will Campbell can do the exact same thing. And that's why, to me, he is a top 10 pick. Number 9, New Orleans Saints. They select Tyler Warren. 6'6", 255 pounds. This guy is big, athletic, played a bunch of sports growing up. He has outstanding hands. His hand-eye coordination is next level. He's a really good run blocker. He does rely a bit more on his freakish athleticism than his technique when he is run blocking. So there is some more upside there with getting his technique more sound. Not necessarily ideal change of direction, but he is immediately pro ready in every way. He plays high snap count. He can play all over the offensive side of the football. He's too fast for linebackers. He's too big for DBs. He's an absolute matchup nightmare. And that is why, for me, he is the number 9 pick for the Saints. The NFL comp for me is Rob Gronkowski. That is, when I was watching Tyler Warren, I saw a lot of Rob Gronkowski in this man's game. So that is who the Saints select at the number 9 pick. Number 8, Carolina Panthers select Will Johnson. 6'2", 202 pounds, the cornerback. He is immediately pro ready. He moves with quickness of a smaller man. He has sticky man coverage, super high football IQ and zone coverage. He has all the accolades to back it up. His height is ideal for a prototype corner. His weight is ideal for a prototype corner. He does need to work on his hand fighting a bit, and he doesn't necessarily have a blazing fast speed, but it is definitely good enough to work at the NFL level. And there are a bit of injury concerns with this player, Will Johnson. But outside of that, I mean, you're basically just cherry picking with this guy, because when you turn on the film, he is unbelievable. He's a great player. He plays through injury, which is something that I love to see. A lot of people docked him because he put out some bad tape out there playing with that injury. That wasn't a dock for me at all. That was somebody who was clearly playing through injury and still being able to play well. That shows toughness. That shows talent. That shows so much athleticism that you can be injured and still be one of the best college football players in the country.
Thank you.
Fucking hey, Jared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
So, to me, I think he's exceptional. Will Johnson, the NFL comp to me, is none other than the guy that everybody has comped Will Johnson to, Patrick Surtain. It's a very good comp. They are extremely similar when you watch their tape in college. And now we got the surprise of the draft. And of course, it's going to be the New York Jets. Who else would shock you with their pick other than the New York Jets?
Of course.
With the number 7 pick in the NFL draft, the New York Jets select Will Howard, quarterback, Ohio State. 6'4", 236 pounds, athletic tools to be an NFL starter, big arm, but doesn't show it off very often due to his lack of getting his feet under him when he does throw. He is not pro ready at all. He needs a ton of work, but his athletic traits, his size, and his arm strength make him very hard to pass up on. He has a high work ethic. He's humble. He's likable. He's got leadership qualities, and his team likes him. There is a lot that this kid needs to work on for a technical standpoint. His footwork is a mess. It is a mess.
It's raw. It's fucking raw. It's real. Okay.
But if you get the right coaches around him, that might be a good sign, because you're talking about a kid who won a national championship with messy footwork, right? And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, they've got all this talent around him at Ohio State, and that's the only reason he's good. And maybe you're right. But the reality is, Ohio State ain't bringing in a bum quarterback, right? Not with all that talent around him. They went out and they got this guy because they thought that he had the traits to go win him a national championship. And guess what? He did. And I don't necessarily see all the problems that a lot of these other people evaluating Will Howard see. I do see somebody who has sloppy technique. I do see somebody who gets happy feet. But I see a guy who you can coach up, man. This guy has all of the physical talent there, and he's got the mental makeup. When you're a quarterback, you need to have the physical attributes, and you need to have a high work ethic. I mean, that's what this guy has. He's going to go in the building, and he's going to work his ass off.
You serious?
For me, the NFL comp, when I watched this film, he reminded me a lot of Justin Herbert. I see a lot of Justin Herbert potential in Will Howard. That is my number 7 pick for the Jets. Number 6, Las Vegas Raiders select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado, 6'2", 216 pounds. His arm isn't over the top special, and either is his athleticism, but he has very good touch on the football. The footballs he do throw are very catchable. He puts them in places where his receivers can pick up yak. He reads the play very well. He's a great processor. He's had to deal with an NFL caliber rush coming at him because of the lack of offensive line talent at Colorado. So he's had to deal with pass rushers a lot. And I think that adds some value to him as a starter in the NFL. Although I also think that it has created some bad habits from him just due to the fact that he is being overwhelmed at times from that of Colorado offensive line not being very good. He puts the ball in great positions for his receivers like we talked about so they can have yak. And he does feel the rush very well for a player his age. Everybody knows about Shedeur Sanders. I don't think I need to go too much into the type of guy that this is. But I think that Tom Brady being leading that organization now, I think that he likes Shedeur a lot. I think that you're talking about a guy, Tom, who didn't have the athletic traits, didn't have the physical profile that NFL teams were looking for, and he outworked everybody and ended up being the greatest player of all time. I think the Raiders get their quarterback to build around for years to come. Whether he will be good or not remains to be seen, but that is what I think the Raiders will ultimately do in the number 6 pick. The NFL comp to me for Shedeur Sanders is when I watched his tape, he reminded me a lot of Deshaun Watson. Quarterbacks, there's a limited amount of players that end up coming through the NFL as a quarterback and actually putting on tape. So it's a little bit harder to make those comparisons, but to me, when I watched his tape, I did see a lot of Deshaun Watson pre-massage parlor in his game. With the number 5 pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Mason Graham, 6'3", 320 pounds. He does have shorter arms, but he's basically an A+ in everything else. He's an elite run defender. He has ideal size. His bend is incredible for a man his size at the interior position. He's got great closing speed. He's a wrap-up tackler. He's strong at the point of attack. When blocks are on him, he's very hard to move off his spot. He's got a wrestling background, so that seems to help him in those areas. He's a natural athlete.
He's a natural athlete.
So is Greg Louganis, but I bet you he get his ass whooped out here.
And he's a natural pass rusher. I think that this guy is a very, very good day one NFL player. As soon as you plug him in, he's better than most interior defensive linemen in the NFL right now. And I think that the Jaguars need that because they have a couple of edge rushers who can get after it. But your edge rushers can only do so much if you don't have a pass rush coming inside and threatening and making that quarterback get off of his spot. I think Mason Graham does that. for the Jaguars. So that is who I think they pick. When I watched Mason Graham play, when I was watching his tape, he reminded me a lot of Warren Sapp. I don't think it's a perfect comparison, but they do a lot of the same things well. So that is my NFL player comp for Mason Graham. And now for the pick that I'm sure is going to piss a lot of Patriots fans off, but I don't think it should. I think that they should be very happy with this pick.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
With the number 4 pick in the NFL draft, the New England Patriots select Ashton Jeanty, running back. 5'9", 215 pounds. Guys, I know that there's a lot of hate on running backs going in the first round. I get that. But after what Saquon Barkley just did for the Eagles, after what Derrick Henry just did for the Ravens, can we stop with that a little? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, these guys are still weapons. You can still use them as pass catchers out of the backfield, right? And that's what, for me, makes this guy a top 5 pick. That's why I think he's a top 5 pick. He's twitchy. His contact balance is unreal. You're talking to like elite of elite for contact balance. His vision is extraordinary. He's a weight room warrior. He has an elite work ethic. He has an elite mentality. He has better hands than most people think because he didn't get to show it off because they were fucking handing him off the ball every down they got a chance to. He has the tools to be an exceptional pass protector, although he wasn't asked to do that a whole heck of a lot. But you guys, this guy is so special. And I know that he almost won the Heisman. And so I know that people realize like how good he is, but I don't think that it's like translating for people about how special this guy is. He's so much better than any other running back in this class. It's not even funny. He is an elite value that you can get in this class. Because of that, there's only so many running backs that come along that are this good. There's only so many. And so you have the chance to get here at the number 4 pick, not only the best running back in the draft, possibly the best player in the draft, possibly.
Come on. Okay, all right.
But you're talking about a guy who has a chance to be like an all-time great running back, right? He has that chance. He's that fucking good. So for me, when I looked at him, when I looked at his skill set, when I watched him play, there was one guy that stood out to me that he reminded me of a lot. And it was somebody that went with the number 5 overall pick back in the day. LaDainian Tomlinson. You're telling me right now, if you're a Patriots fan and you find out you're getting young LaDainian Tomlinson today, you don't like that? For Drake May? Of course you would love that. That's the guy for me for the Patriots, Ashton Jeanty. Get Drake May a weapon. And for me, the best weapon in this draft was Ashton Jeanty, which is why you pick him. You get the guy the best weapon you can, and you take some of the onus off Drake May, and you start building from there.
Come on.
God, stop slapping me. Really?
Okay. Beautiful.
You'd like to slap me in the face.
And with the number 3 pick in the NFL draft, the New York Giants select quarterback Cam Ward. He has a ridiculous arm talent, ridiculous athleticism, ability to extend plays, make all the throws downfield, very calm in the pocket, which is a good thing, but it can be too calm at times. Sometimes he doesn't play with quite the urgency you would want him to. There is a lot of tape on him, and he still produced. He has so much experience in college that it should be an easier transition for him to the NFL than a lot of NFL quarterbacks have, i.e. Anthony Richardson and things like that. But he does need to play with a bit more structure. He tends to rely on that athleticism a bit. He tends to rely on the play breaking down and trying to make plays outside of the pocket a bit too much. And that is going to lead him to get hurt at times, I think, in the NFL. If he continues to rely on that too much, you don't always want to be jumping outside the pocket so many times a game. I think that there's too many hits that can be taken in the NFL, so he has to refine those things a little bit and play with a bit more structure. But the NFL comp to me was Jalen Hurts. I think that he does have more arm talent than Jalen Hurts as far as like throwing angles and how far they can throw it and throwing off platform and things like that. But I think Jalen Hurts is arguably the more accurate thrower of the football, which could be more important. But as far as their like running ability and the things that they can bring to your team, I think it's a very similar comp. So for me, Cam Ward, player comp, Jalen Hurts. Daniel Jones is gone. You need to reset to your franchise. You got to get Malik Neighbors, somebody who can sling him that pill.
I need a fucking assistant!
Number 2, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Clowns.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Select Abdul Carter. 6'3", 260-pound edge rusher. He was moved from an off-ball to a edge linebacker full-time, slightly below average with his weight, but he is fast twitch. He is superb bend. He's physical at all times. He's devastating with his hitting. He doesn't sacrifice his form when he does hit with that devastation. He can play through injury, and he plays elite football even when he is injured, which is a sign of how good he really is. He's just a high-end pass rusher right from day one. He can drop into coverage if you need him to, but with a guy like this, why would you go send him to get the quarterback? And he had the highest wins above replacement in all of college football. He is Abdul Carter. For me, I know it's an easy comparison. I know everybody does it, but I'm not going to not do something just because it's cliche. The guy reminds me of Micah Parsons, and I don't know how any of you watch this guy's fucking tape, and he doesn't remind you of Micah Parsons. He looks like, almost a replicate of him with that number 11 at Penn State as well. So for me, Abdul Carter, it's the easy pick if you're the Browns. Myles Garrett wants out, and you can't really fucking blame him if, that he does. He's been dominating for that team for years now, and they haven't even fucking sniffed anything close to championship football.
Rusty cunt bucket. Fuck!
I wasn't laughing.
Fuck!
And I think Myles Garrett is tired of it. I think the nail in the coffin was getting rid of Baker and getting Deshaun Watson on that team. And I think that Myles wants to go win football games. And that's not going to be in Cleveland for a few years now, if ever. But it's going to start by replacing Myles Garrett with Abdul Carter if they ever do expect to win football games again. So that is my pick for the Cleveland Browns at number 2. Which means the number 1 pick, everybody already knows it now. All right, no secret. It's Travis Hunter. And I know it's a bit controversial, because people don't think that Travis Hunter, they have all kind of ranges of opinion on this guy. I think the guy is electric. I think the guy is special. And I'm going to go through some of those reasons why I think the Titans should take him with the number 1 pick. Very twitchy, presses very well for his weight. Hand-eye coordination is off the charts for a defensive back. Elite agility, elite quickness, very fast, ultra competitive, high work ethic, pick six waiting to happen at all times, coached by the best corner in history, primetime, for the last few years, given the hardest job in college football in island coverage by primetime a lot. Deion Sanders put this guy on an island a lot to make up for the lack of talent on the rest of that defense, because he kind of had to create different matchups. And so there are some bad tape that got put out there by that, but just the fact that you're confident enough to go out and take that many reps on an island by yourself against the best in college football week after week after week. I mean, you're just not going to get those kind of reps anywhere else. So he's got that going for him. He's got an ability to play wide receiver. He can be an extra weapon for a team. I do think that he needs to be a bit more risk conscious at the NFL level. I thought there were times that he gambled in college when he didn't really have to gamble, but you can coach some of those things up. And you can't really blame him for wanting to gamble that much either.
This is number 1 bullshit.
Because, like I said, he's a pick six waiting to happen. So if his gamble pays off, it probably goes to the house. So that is why he relies on that quite a bit. But for me, the guy is special. He's, I'm going to get the player comparison out of the way right now. It's primetime. It's Deion Sanders, obviously. And I'm not saying that this guy is Deion Sanders, but I am telling you that he has the talent to have that kind of an impact. He can absolutely lock up number 1 wide receivers. And that 6'1" frame that he has, he's tall enough to be able to handle the bigger wide receivers, but he's shifty and quick enough with that 185 weight that's wiry to be able to keep up with all the quick players at the position as well. So he's an absolute stud in today's NFL with the ability to match him up. And if you're the Titans, everybody keeps talking about let's have them trade back. So because they need multiple things, all these and that thing. Hey, let's have them get a quarterback because they need that. Hey, How about you go get a guy who can play multiple positions? Now you've addressed number one corner on your team for years to come. He becomes the face of your franchise, and you get an extra offensive weapon.
I was about to start bad-mouthing you behind your back, but I stopped myself because my pops taught me that a man who talks behind somebody's back is a coward.
Wow, I actually appreciate that.
Good, because I'm going to tell you directly to your face.
No, you don't have to.
No, I don't like you.
You don't have to use him all the time, but you can think of him like a third down back in a way. Putting him out there on third downs for weapon situations, right? Need a guy to get open on third down? We got big pass catching downs? Throw another weapon out there in Travis Hunter. Get him fucking 15, 20 plays a game out there on offense on crucial downs.
It's not going to be days at a time, but an hour 45, no problem.
That's what I think. And I think that's a great role for him on this team. And as far as quarterback goes, as much as I talked up all those quarterbacks that we talked about, don't get this twisted at all. They all have bust potential. All of them have bust potential, as does every quarterback in the NFL. I can tell you this. J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback for the Vikings that's going to be coming in this year, if he were in this draft, he would have been the number one pick.
What does that have to do with me?
No. He's got a point.
He would have been the number one quarterback in this draft class. So that'll show you why there are those people who are saying the Titans shouldn't necessarily just go get one of the quarterbacks, because there are a lot of concerns with the quarterbacks that are there. Now, with Travis Hunter, ain't no concern on whether he's going to be a good football player. This man is going to be a good football player. Now, how good is he going to be? That's left to be, said. I think he has a chance to be a Hall of Fame type player with a lot of his attributes. Can he do that? Again, you got to go prove that, but I think he does have that potential. And why not, if you're the Titans, go get Sam Darnold. Everybody wants to talk about the fact that Sam Darnold's a fucking one-hit wonder with these Vikings. I'll tell you what, go look at that guy spin the pill in that Pro Bowl competition. Okay, you could say whatever you want about him being a one-hit wonder, but ain't too many guys who can spin the pill like that. That guy's arm talent is ridiculous. And he's got less concerns for me than any quarterback coming into this draft. So if I'm the Titans, I go get fucking Sam Darnold. I go get a number one quarter, and I get Sam Darnold and another weapon at the same time, and this guy, Travis Hunter. So that's why I think that was my number one pick. Travis Hunter, congratulations. You won the Heisman, and you're the number one pick now. Hypothetically.
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
No, fugazi. It's a fake.
Yeah, fugazi. It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, bucko.